Chapter 378 The Heavens Have Eyes. The Sword Fanatic gains enlightenment. As he spoke, K2 started to get busy again. He installed Soul Tool after Soul Tool in every corner of the room. What he didn't know was that his reputation as the origin of destruction would start to become notable after this mission, and he would also become one of the most well-known fighting soul engineers on the continent. Jing Zian was also busy. At this point, she was in her own room, adjusting her storage-type Soul Tool. At times, she would retrieve items that looked like stones. These stones weren't very eye-catching, and they were only slightly bigger than an adult man's fist. However, Jing Zian was very careful, because she had once witnessed how destructive these stones were. Ji Juogen was sitting on a chair not far away, and silently watched her as she busied herself. He suddenly said, "Can you stop smiling?" Jing Zian was shocked, and a stone in her hand suddenly slipped. Jing Zian hurriedly reached out and grabbed it again. After that, she patted her chest and said, "Hey, can you not scare me when I'm dealing with these things? If they explode, we'll be critically hurt. If we don't die, I just couldn't take it anymore. Furthermore, I remembered Huo Yua said before that they have to be detonated. Even if they drop on the ground, they won't explode." Ji Juogen said. Jing Zian nodded. "What can't you take anymore? Even if it won't explode, we need to be careful. It's better to be safe. It's not like you've ever seen the strength of these things." Ji Juogen said. "I couldn't take your expression anymore. Do you know how sinister you looked earlier? You looked just like a little fox." Jing Zian snapped. "You're more like a little fox. Have you ever seen a little fox carrying a bunch of bombs? Hey, why are you so talkative today? It's not like you." As she spoke, she picked up a few of the bombs before she turned around and looked suspiciously at Ji Juogen. Ji Juogen's cold expression suddenly changed, and Jing Zian was shocked. Is he embarrassed? Or is he being shy? Heavens. What's wrong with you, Juogen? Are you sick? Jing Zian walked towards him as she spoke. "Stop, stop." Ji Juogen suddenly shouted. Jing Zian immediately stopped and gave him a doubtful look. "I'm fine. I'm not sick." Ji Juogen smacked his own forehead, as if he were trying to calm himself down. "Then what's wrong with you?" Jing Zian stared at him doubtfully. Ji Juogen lowered his head and seemed to be thinking of something. Fortunately, this didn't last very long. He suddenly lifted his head again and said to Jing Zian, "Zian, how long have we known each other?" "Oh, several years already. We got to know each other when no one was willing to interact with you when you first entered the academy. Back then, you were only admitted to the academy to make up the numbers. After that, you found a suitable path, and I watched you progress to where you are now. Why?" Ji Juogen's gaze suddenly became determined. "Let's get together." Jing Zian was confused as she said, "Haven't we always been together?" However, she was stunned when she looked at Ji Juogen's eyes clearly. 3 of the stones in her hand fell out and crashed to the ground. It did prove that the stones wouldn't explode. However, Jing Zian's expression was extremely terrified at this moment. She was frozen in disbelief, and couldn't imagine what was happening to her right now. Her expression perfectly displayed how she was feeling. What are you? Speak clearly. What do you mean?" Jing Zian's voice was trembling uncontrollably, as if the most terrifying thing in this world had happened to her. Ji Juogen lowered his head again, and didn't dare to look her in the eyes. He muttered, "I said that we should get together. You are right. We've known each other for years, and you've always been by my side, helping me, encouraging me and taking care of me. Although I never once commented on any of it, I know it in my heart. After Huo Yua unleashed his 3 skills that day, I realized that I've been detached from this world for too long. There shouldn't just be swords in my world, because swords can't help me reach the peak that I've always wanted to reach. I should be like a normal person. I should have relationships. I only know one lady, and that is you. In addition, I feel like I can only think of you. Let's get together, shall we?" As he raised his head again, Jing Zian saw a trace of anticipation and nervousness in his eyes. "I'm not pretty." Jing Zian seemed to grit her teeth as she said these few words. Her eyes were already on the verge of tearing up at this moment. "You are the only lady in my eyes. You are just like my sword. Also, do you think I'm very concerned about your beauty?" Jing Zian shifted her head to one side and tried to stop her tears from flowing. "I'm not gentle, either. I'm competitive, and I like to fight. I might beat you up at any time. Those are precisely the reasons why we should get together." Ji Juogen seemed to become a little tense. "Are you willing?" He started to seem a little depressed right now. This was probably the most he had spoken in the past 10 years, and it was also the day where his mood had experienced the greatest changes. At this moment, he suddenly realized that his sword intent had met some kind of problem. It was as if it had been punctured by some ridiculous thing. Jing Zian raised her head, and her tears flowed down her cheeks. "Heaven. You finally opened your eyes." When she looked at Ji Juogen again, her gaze had already turned sharp. She took one step forward and came over in front of him. After this, she sat on his lap and wrapped her arms around his shoulders. They looked into each other's eyes at this close distance. "From this moment onwards, you are my man. You can't turn back, and there's no time limit. Do you know how long I've been waiting for this day? From today onwards, Yua is my benefactor. Scoundrel." Her tears flowed again, but she kissed his lips as if she had gone crazy, and held tightly onto his head. Her tears also flowed onto his face in an instant. Ji Juogen was stupefied, completely stupefied. He only felt a force that he had never experienced or imagined before coming from Jing Zian's body. This force had nothing to do with her soul power or fighting, but it struck his heart with an unprecedented momentum. His sword intent melted at this point. Jing Zian's slightly salty yet soft lips, and the inexperienced kiss that she planted on his lips, lit a fire in his heart. Gradually, Ji Juogen recovered from his shock. His hands wrapped around Jing Zian's waist as he hugged her tightly. He started to be the active one. While he was as inexperienced as Jing Zian, he was more aggressive and offensive as he sensed that force. His love was like his sword. They both needed a flash of realization. Just like Jing Zian had said, he had finally gotten it right. The feelings that he had been keeping in his heart for so long had finally erupted, and they couldn't be stopped. In this perilous city, they had finally taken that defining step and removed the thin barrier between them. Huo Yuao, Xu Sanqi and Yu Dui arrived at the south end of the city. They were less than 50 meters from the south wall. It was noon, and the 3 of them found a small, ordinary restaurant to dine at. This restaurant also fit their status according to their dress. After ordering a few small dishes, they started to eat their lunch. Huo Yuao was sitting in a corner of the restaurant. Xu Sanqi sat next to him, while Yu Dui sat opposite him. It was very difficult for anyone to notice him. He unleashed his spiritual detection and directed it underground. It drilled through the ground like a sharp ball, penetrating the city wall to survey the area beyond it would take a toll on his spiritual power. While going over the city wall would change the direction of his spiritual power, which would make it difficult to control. Thus, Huo Yuao chose to go underground. The south wall was indeed more tightly guarded than other places in the city. As Huo Yuao scanned upward, he discovered that there were more thermal and soul power detectors here than at the northern city gate. Furthermore, there were also a few hidden offensive soul tools above this wall. The outer perimeter was tightly guarded. Huo Yuao kept on moving his spiritual power diagonally downward. The foundation of the city wall only reached a depth of 10 meters. After 10 meters, Huo Yuao's spiritual power managed to extend beneath it. As he ranged further underground, he exhausted his spiritual power greatly. It was only because of his immense spiritual cultivation that he was able to unleash such strong spiritual power and control. After reaching close to 30 meters underground, Huo Yuao felt less resistance to his spiritual power as it entered water. City moat. This has to be the city moat. Huo Yuao was delighted, and continued to move his spiritual detection down. At the same time, he also moved it further to either side. The water was a little polluted, but the sensors from his spiritual power were detached from his body. They weren't like his vision. Very soon, Huo Yuao's spiritual power had swept more than 50 meters of polluted water, but he didn't discover anything. There was only silt at the bottom of the moat. With his spiritual power, he could only go 10 meters below the layer of silt before he started to feel dizzy. Huo Yuao lifted his head and shut his eyes slightly. He took a deep breath to soothe his spiritual power. "How is it?" Xu Sanqi asked softly. Huo Yuao shook his head and said, "I can't. There's too big of an area to survey. The length of the south wall is quite extensive. I can only search slowly. Third senior, cover me. I'll try to use my Eye of Destiny. Perhaps I'll be able to sense more that way." "All right." Huo Yuao gulped down a glass of clear water in front of him before he placed his elbows on the table. His palms were naturally supporting his forehead, but covered the center of it. His Eye of Destiny opened. When it opened, Xu Sanqi and Yu Dui had a feeling that Huo Yuao was illusory. A strange aura came from his head, but this feeling only lasted for an instant. However, they could still clearly see that Huo Yuao had become different. Even scarier, Huro Yuao unleashed his spiritual power again, the penetrative abilities of his spiritual power a few times stronger now. In a matter of seconds, he entered the moat once again. Under his control, his spiritual power swept its surroundings and covered a greater area. He couldn't do this all day. After all, it wasn't possible to construct anything under this layer of silt. Furthermore, Feng Ling's words weren't very clear, and he wasn't able to determine the actual location of the water prison. From what Feng Ling had mentioned, he only recalled 3 useful phrases: south wall, city moat, and water prison. As he scanned his surroundings, he soon reached 200 meters in distance. As the area that he covered grew, he was able to detect more things with the help of his eye of destiny. He slowly sensed traces of a gloomy, despondent aura. This feeling came mostly from the eastern end of the south wall. He quickly shifted the direction of his spiritual detection. Indeed, this despondent feeling became stronger and stronger the more he moved east. The draw on his spiritual power kept on increasing, and Huro Yuao called to the Skydream Iceworm, "Brother Skydream, give me a hand." Skydream's lazy voice sounded in his spiritual sea. "Okay." The ring on Huro Yuao's finger that the Skydream Iceworm had changed into lost its glow. In Huro Yuao's spiritual sea, the Skydream Iceworm surfaced and slowly released the strength of his pure spiritual origin into Huro Yuao's spiritual sea. Suddenly, Huro Yuao's spiritual power became much stronger. His spiritual power continued to move east, and he finally found something suspicious. It was at a position around 300 meters to his east, and around 3 meters below the riverbank close to this side of the south wall. There was an iron fence which was constructed out of thick, fine iron. The despondent and gloomy aura came from there, which meant it either had to be the entrance and exit of the water prison, or an opening for the flow of water into or out of the water prison. Huro Yuao heaved a sigh of relief after making this discovery. There were finally clues. He quickly retracted his spiritual detection and shut his eye of destiny. Just this short while had caused his spiritual power to be greatly drained. If not for the fact that it was already in the concrete immaterial realm, he wouldn't have been able to take it. "Let's go. Let's take a walk." Huro Yuao secretly signaled to Shu Sanchi and Yu Gi before they quickly settled the bill and left the restaurant. After that, they proceeded towards the south wall. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.